What's going on, YouTube? You already know what it is, baby. It's Yugi Skull. Excited to bring you guys yet another video on the channel. Um, this week I got something really spicy for you guys. I've really been dabbling with a lot of the new Blue Eyes support for from the new structure deck, the new Blue Eyes structure deck, and I'm super excited to bring you guys. I think two very I would say competitive list that you guys should definitely be checking out for, your next tier two events in the hobby and things like that. I personally have been taking out Blue Eyes to locals every now and then and really been enjoying it. It's, I think, like my primary meta deck, so to speak, right now. I do have two different lists that I'm going to share with you guys. One is the Primite Blue Eyes list that's been seeing a lot of good topping results in tier 2 events and YCSs and whatnot. I'll talk a little bit about my tech options and ratios, and then I do have like an additional spicy Fiend Smith list. I have done like a video on that in the past. So I'll show where that's become where that's gotten me now and why I'm actually kind of leaning towards Primite more over Fiend Smith for Blue Eyes. But yeah, without further ado, we'll get started. Oh, and then I think the bread and butter of this video is actually not going to be just the deck profile. This is going to be actually going over some high level gameplay against the following archetypes. We're going to show a good win against Ryzeal, okay, Maliss, and we're going to show you the mirror, how to actually combat the mirror when it comes to Blue Eyes versus Blue Eyes. And then last but not least, I'm going to show you guys a fourth win against Mermails, which is also going to be a very prominent deck and perhaps is going to easily creep up into, tier one, tier zero standings once the ban list takes into effect. And, potentially we see Ryzeal or Malice get addressed on the ban list. Cool. Without further ado, playing a deck of 40 for Blue Eyes Primite. 15 hand traps in the main, Ash Blossom, 2 Veilers because it is searchable. I find Valor is not inherently better or worse than any other hand trap, but some hand traps I find do have stronger impacts. Valor also is not live under Shifter. So because it's searchable, I made the judgment call to balance it out down to 2 copies. Fuvalos, which is essentially modern day Max C, 2 Nibiru, Dominus Purge, as well as Infinite Impermanence. This was very purposeful. Like in theory, you could potentially cut down some of the talents for more hand traps. Or even take out the pot. I personally don't think that's the right approach. I've been finding with Fulos, the math actually ends up being a lot better if you do open Fulos and it resolves and you start to draw into some more of your additional hand traps. So keep that in mind. Yes, going first, we only have 12 hand traps that are live, but one of them is searchable off of the Blue Eyes engine, which is Effect Veiler, right? And then if you do open up the full Velos going first, you just discard off wishes. It's not really that big of a deal. I also have been really enjoying the additions of Pot of Prosperity as well as Triple Tactics talents when it comes to our non-engine. In a simplified game state, talents tends to win games. If you get hand trap once, you just sometimes, slap it down on the field, look at their hand, plan accordingly, do a quick nib check, right? Increases the Blue Eyes engine ceiling a lot further. The deck does struggle under Nibiru if you don't know what you're doing. And you could potentially get punished very hard by Nibiru if you overextend your engine. In that regard as well. And then yeah, talent also allows you to draw too. Sometimes the deck I find, does have a lot of problems when it comes to consistency due to the engine being very limited. You technically, oh, there's a little ad that just popped up. You technically only have, what is it, one, two, three, four, five, six, and seven, eight, 9 cards that directly get you into engine. We're talking like the actual true Blue Eyes engine. The Primite engine does allow you to bring out Blue Eyes White Dragon. It allows lines into seals, but it doesn't necessarily actually facilitate the addition of, Sage as well as the Maiden, the new retrain of Maiden, as well as having access to True Light, which gives you access to like Majesty or eventually, giving you access to your Spirit of White Dragon. My end board, by the way, folks, is just Spirit of White, Blue Eye Spirit Dragon, sorry, Blue Eye Spirit Dragon, hand traps, maybe seals if I check for Nibiru, um, and then also potentially like some of the Primite stuffs in rotation with the Drill Beam set. Drill Beam is absolutely a broken card, folks. Um, And yeah, Pot of Prosperity is also like your pseudo additional 10th starter as well that directly has lines into your Blue Eyes engine. A quick note on wishes. I've seen a lot of people play two of those. I think it's completely incorrect. There's only so many cards that get you into your Blue Eyes engine anyways. I know that maybe seeing two copies in an opening hand isn't necessarily great, but it's a very, very strong card where it allows you to add, your Majesty as well as your Roar, as well as potentially bridging you into Maiden if your Sage normal summon gets impermed, or even getting you an additional floor to your end board with the addition of like an effect veiler potentially. So very, very strong card. I don't see the argument to cut it down to two as being valid. Again, there's only so much engine that you can run for Blue Eyes. And the Primite engine is nice. It's a great, great addition, but it doesn't actually bridge into Blue Eyes, into the real Blue Eyes, bread and butter, which is like your Spirit of White Dragon that bridges into like your Ultimate Dragon, things like that. In this side, of course, we have Lancia for Maliss. We have Called By, some back row hate, exceptionally, exceptionally good post side game three where everyone sets Solemn Strike, or even like Infinite Impermanence. And then we also have Ultimate Slayer as well as Solemn Judgment, as well as Perulia. Nothing really explained here. I think it's self-explanatory. I went with Solemn just because it's easier to actually control if you feel that your opponent is actually playing any kind of deck that has board breakers. I find it's actually a lot better than Solemn Strikes, particularly in Blue Eyes, just because you are susceptible to cards such as Lightning Storm and Duster. If you do not, shotgun your Blue Eyes Spirit Dragon into Ultimate, then you're kind of in for a rude awakening if they slap this down and you do not have Solemn Judgment set and you have the Solemn Strike, for example, set. Because Solemn Strike does not interact with um, Feather Storm or Lightning Storm. The Ultimate Slayer is purely for Ryzeal. The deck does struggle into Detonator. Not much more to say there, right? It adds more outs to be able to handle that card, and we are playing the Mermail Logic aggregator. In the case that they do, the only thing that you're opening up is Ultimate Slayer against that end board. They're ending on the Cross Negate as well as Ultimate Slayer, so that way, the Ultimate Slayer deals with the detonator, and then also the Mirror Logic can immediately target on the next chain the cross and interact with that one, turning it off or initiating it preemptively. No Droll does get an honorable mention, I find, because this deck does brick. Like, I kid you not, yesterday at Locals, I had a hand that was Blue Eyes, True Light, Roar, Effect Veiler. Right, so not only was like Roar not usable because I had in hand both Blue Eyes. So I find like if going second instead of Droll or even like Bestials or things like that, again, Bestials do get honorable mention in this uh in this video, but realistically I wanted something like Perulia on top of our Fuvoloses to help us add a lot more cards to the hand, you know, punch the throttle a little bit on our opponents, board making progression, but still allow us to potentially draw and replenish that hand. Because draw is a -1, but the mulch charm is if they do resolve, you're gaining cards drawn to your hand, but you're also, you're telling your opponent, hey, you need to slow down in terms of how you're progressing on your ability to build your board. Extra deck, nothing to really explain. Two spirits, SP, Liana, one seals is all you need. Typhon, Mario for the Slayer, Lightstorm for back row, Blue Eyes as your Omni. This is like usually your go-to once you tag out your Spirit Dragon. You need two Spirit Dragons, of course. Black Rose for the non-destruction spin, as well as the Neo for the Tyrant Blue Eyes line. I do play as Zeus. I know it's a little weird, but I did get this idea from the YCS Sydney list where you can actually potentially sometimes convert your Tripper Tactics talent in a simplified game state to steal a detonator or to potentially steal like a Caesar or steal like a what's it called, a dual drive, and be able to convert that body into a two material Zeus or sometimes more if it's a detonator. They don't necessarily want to pop their detonator. I don't know, see why they wouldn't, but sometimes it does come up. So it's nice. It's nice to have that line where like you steal it, you might potentially develop your board, and then once you do attack, you go into battle and you've checked for nib and you attack your opponent with their own monster. Let's say you don't necessarily go lethal, you're able to slap the Zeus on top of that. In theory, you could potentially like slap a Typhon as well and like spin something, but the Zeus adds you another additional layer of interruption on the crackback where, if your opponent does have a lot of gas after you've potentially, semi-broken their board, and you didn't end on like too much, like maybe let's say you went like Spirit Dragon pass, then now the Zeus does become impactful where you're able to then interact with your opponent with Spirit Dragon. Let's say you spin it out into you tag it out for an Omni Negate. The Omni Negate gets resolves, and then they still have more gas. Let's say they do get two bodies on the field in the form of the Ryzeal engine, then Zeus potentially could clear board. In theory as well, what you could do is steal it off talents, clear board, go Zeus, clear the board again, uh, then develop your board that way. So that does also come up, almost like it almost converts your talents into evenly matched in the deck. So yeah, that's that. Again, I also do have the Fiend Smith version. I've been finding like it just a lot of people in my locals, their maining droll. Oops, sorry, wrong one. A lot of people, their maining droll is a budget option to not having Fuvalos. So be mindful that like we might see that card, Droll and Lockbird see traction, and then all of a sudden the Fiendsmith variant is just no longer as viable because the minute you resolve Engraver, you're no longer resolving Tract or anything else that's related to the Blue Eyes engine. One of the benefits to this build that I found was just the existence of Necrocrypt, which could actually see a ban. Necrocrypt allows you to draw one, and if you like, combine it with like your Sage, adding main in, or even like your wishes, dump an additional monster from your hand, like a Blue Eyes, it gets you like a higher ceiling in terms of the number of cards you're actually starting with. But in all honesty, like it's a deck that plays different. I don't know if it's better per se, but it definitely does have its weaknesses and choke points where it's losing a lot harder to a deck like to a card like Droll. But the end board I think is quite nice, right? It's an end board of like Caesar on top of all your Blue Eyes stuff. Also, the Blue Eyes engine does bridge into Fiendsmith directly, which is why we're not actually playing the closed moon goddess card. We're playing Dimensional Ultra Varus in the main because it's searchable off of the Blue Eyes engine. It can turn itself into a light fiend tuner, and that way it allows itself to be linked off into Requiem, and then you can go into your Fiendsmith lines that way. Fiendsmith is just really good also like at breaking boards. Like there's a line that Engraver actually doesn't interact with Detonator, and then you go Chaos Angel out the Detonator just because Chaos Angel is a light will not be able to get popped by a Detonator. You can even again make seals. You could make sorry, not seals. You could make Caesar, which is really nice. But I also find like against Ryzeal, Caesar just is not really doing very much against them. If they only open ice, sure it's good. But if they open X or Bonfire, you're kind of asking for trouble at that point. But I will say this: when you do have the Fiendsmith cards in your grave and they're in rotation, it's actually quite good to get bodies out on the field. And there were plays in the last locals that I was at where I was actually able to make Black Rose Dragon hard make it off of Sage as well as an Engraver on the field to out a Fire King Island Kieran, which you cannot destroy because then they start to plus on all the destruction effects. So I had to spin it back to the hand. So that was pretty cool. Yeah, all in all, very similar list to the first one. I don't have to go too deep into the Fiend Smith stuff. Check out my explainer video on that type of build on my channel. I've done a video before. But yeah, for the sake of the gameplay, we're gonna go over how the Primite build is actually performing. Cool. Um, Looks like the first game here that we are playing is against Maliss. Nice. So we do go first. They shifter us. We go load, add ether, normal to ether, ether set drill. We link off and then we add the mausoleum. We opened up as well, folks. It looks like load, wishes, purge, Fuvalosis Sage. Not bad. Again, guys, one card, which is the load. It got us the ether, which got us all this. Like it's one card combos. It's very, very powerful stuff. Then it looks like we add the maidens because of adding effect failure is not going to actually do anything under shifter. So we're essentially adding crackback for turn three, folks. Looks like here we use the wishes, we send the Fua to banishment, and then we end on looks like Blue Eyes on the field, Majesty, Dominus Purge, as well as Drill Beam. I don't think I wanted to go and banish my Blue Eyes to make seals, even though there is a world where, they normal something or they activate something like a continuous or field spell. You bounce it with seals, seals effect, special, Blue Eyes, but I felt like I was safe enough with just Majesty set, Dominus Purge, as well as Drill Beam because they did go -1 to actually resolve the shifter. Let's keep that in mind. So yeah, let's see how this plays out. They normal, and then on normal, it looks like I pop it, and then we Drill Beam it, we banish it. In theory, I could have just, if I went seals, just sent it back to hand, and then their trap card has that they're setting has nothing to banish to be used that turn, and we'd be because GG's because they wouldn't have you know any extenders such as like sarcophagus, gold sarg, or terraforming or Malice in the Underground. But it kind of did work in my favor because I'm not playing into talents, which is a very, very popular card right now, as we know. So they scooped because we didn't play into talents, because we didn't go seals. But even then, if we went seals, the what do you call it? The Drobin checks the talents, which is no problem. Cool. Looks like we do open up Artifact Lancia. We top deck for turn Mausoleum. We got a Duster. We have a Blue Eyes, a Load, as well as a Maiden of White. Again, guys, deck bricks. We opened up 2 bricks here. It's the Blue Eyes as well as your Mausoleum. Mausoleum's not that bad sometimes of a draw, but like Blue Eyes is absolutely a brick unless you open like, I don't know, Drill Beam. Then it has applications going second, which does come up. There's where we run multiple Drill Beams, but I think one is just fine. So yeah, we Lancia, they set Imperm, they got Talents, they resolve Shifter, then they got Mouse Underground as well as White Rabbit, so they got a lot of good engine. We Duster the Impermanence, we go load, add Ether, Ether, set Drill, and then we go, it looks like I'm going for a straight Seals play here because I was okay with one Blue Eyes being banished because you can actually specialist summon it back off of Roar. It's your only card, guys, that can actually bring Blue Eyes from banishment back. So use it wisely. Um, and then we also have the other Blue Eyes, which means Drill Beam is always live, regardless of what game state that we're in. So I was pretty happy about that board. So he normals, we go seals, spend back. He sends TB 11. And then we go Seal's special Ether, Drill negates the field, and then he goes to, I believe, draw two. He sets one, which is a call by, which does actually completely that we get blown up because of the call by. We did play into it. Um, and then we go attack. We make Seal a spirit, and then he specials Dormouse. We shotgun the spirit early on just to spin back the special Dormouse. And then what actually ends up making us lose is that top deck thrust, just because on normal summon, what we were able to do is Veiler it, and then he just thrusts into terraforming or Gold Sarg, or even just he could just steal off of with talents. Our monster will start linking off and go into his link climb plays. Yeah, so we scoop it up. We lost the thrust there, no problem. We'll get him back. Game three, they FUA. I really love this round team, this round guys, just because we're playing under FUA and a Bestial, which is really good against us. We open load, Mausoleum again, another brick, Veiler, Nib, as well as Sage, which is a full combo for our Blue Eyes. It's always good to see him. We go load add Ether, normal to Ether, set drill, we go Mausoleum. This was nice. The implications of Mausoleum being top decked under FUA is actually quite good because since we had access to both Blue Eyes engine as well as the Primite engine, what we were able to do is we could like not necessarily commit too much of our extra deck summons. We could just summon from the hand and increase the base of our board relatively quickly and effectively without playing into the Fuvalos, which is really good to see. So we went normal, then we're able to do the normal summon of Sage to add another effect of Veiler. Looks like here though, I'm just adding actually, oh, the Maiden. Yeah, so we had Veiler. We're adding Maiden to set up Majesty probably. Let's take a look. Yeah, we dump a Blue Eyes, and then we set a Majesty, and then we tell our opponent you're good to go. He does Baldrake the Blue Eyes, which we were worried about, but I was okay with him starting with, you know, 5 cards. Is it five? Yeah, no, he's starting with four. He started with 4 cards, so now he's got at his disposal Allure, Brick, which is the MTPO7, Dormouse, full combo, as well as GW6. So it's not a bad hand, but not ideal at the same time. And our end board under Fuvalos was essentially because he stopped, he removed from play the Blue Eyes, it did turn off the drill beam because we were planning to go True Light, special it in the draw phase if he didn't have the Bestial, but of course he did, and then it also did unfortunately turn off our match. So he kind of with one Bestial did trade within these two interruptions that we set up. Regardless, we still have a Veiler as well as Nibiru, and it's going to be very tough for them to push past 5 summons and kill us with Nibiru. So I was happy. And we will win this one with the help of the Veiler as well as Nibiru. So they go Allure, special Chessie. Um, we Veiler the Dormouse. They do tag out, so they do end up playing really hard into Nibiru here. They get to a point where they're actually chaining banishment summons because they wanted to dodge with the Veiler. So we actually, it helped us the fact that they drew some of these dodge cards as well as extenders because they summoned all this all in one chain resolution. And we were able to actually nib them really hard. They basically just ended on nothing. The game was done right there and then. We set in the end phase. We top deck Lancia, send the Lancia for wishes, proceed to go full combo. I believe we blow up the nib with the Majesty. That's set. Just to clear it, it is a big token. Because the Tyrant Dragon will allow you to reset the Majesty anyways for follow-up. So we make Tyrant Dragon, and we proceed to battle, and then we special Blue Eyes, I believe, in the battle phase, and we do FTK them that way with the help of Tyrant, Nib, as well as Blue Eyes being specialed in the battle phase. Pro tip, guys. What we ended up doing was, looks like we summoned 4 times in the main phase. And then in the battle phase, we specialed the 5th time because we knew we can punch for a game. And that way we avoided playing into Nibiru. So yeah, really, really good. And then our fallback is just, our follow up is just intense. Because if we're scared of Nibiru, and let's say we did not have this Nibiru, what I would actually do is go main 2, not summon this, and then maybe make Spirit. If we get Nib, make Seals off of the help of like Lordly Load. That's how I think about it, is like Spirit Pass, check for Nib, Spirit Pass. You get Nib, try and make another Spirit, try to make a Seals. And then we have, at that point, a lot of good stuff. Our Primate Blue will be back online. Our Veiler is back online, as well as our Majesty's back online. That's 3 interruptions, and he's got 1 card. They're not winning at that point, right? So yeah, that was GG's. We'll go to the next one, which is going to be Ryzeal. Cool. We do start. We go normal, maiden. This one's fun. I just forget to use the True Light effect to set, and it actually mattered because he did have an ogre. So he's opening Fua, Ogre, Ash, Engraver, and then Sword Ryzer. So it is the Fiend Smith variant, probably the best deck in the format right now. So it looks like we're dumping Blue Eyes. He could have actually ogred this. It's quite impactful if they do that. But I think he's just holding it for the True Light, which doesn't come up. So we make Spirit. He Fua's here. We end up not making Spirit under Fua again. We go load, add Drill Beam, set Drill Beam, set Imperm, and then we've got Purge and Nibiru. Wow, that's pretty nice, guys. Like, we basically said to the opponent, you're not going to draw one. We're going to trade preemptively our Spirit into like Ultimate Spirit for your, for you not drawing one. So it was fair. I think it was very fair at that point. So he goes Engraver, out tracked. We went out and purged the track because I figured if he's starting out with your Fiend Smith Engraver, then he probably didn't have, like, if they opened with tracked instead of Engraver, there's a good chance that there's an Engraver or not. But if they go Engraver, you know very well there's no track, right? Because you never would play into Droll that way. This guy's also pretty like relatively high rated. He's like almost 720 at that point. Like he's not a bad player. He's relatively good. Um so so yeah, like that's just kind of like a telltale sign. So we ended up purging the track because we knew that that would cut him off of the entire Fiendsmith line. You don't want to necessarily Ash or interact with the Requiem because then he'll just bring out his Engraver and then Requiem equip, he'll send something on the field, and our board is kind of weird at that point because our Blue Eyes is no longer on the field and Drill Beam gets turned off. We'll have to use the True Light to special and play into our own Nibiru, which is not great. But yeah, I digress. I think it makes sense. So we Imperm his normal summon. He goes battle. We use the secret effect to bring Sage onto the board, which will help us for crackback. Cool. And phase looks like he does use it, which is fine. And then we go top deck Ether. Ether into the Link one. Link one just gets us Blue Eyes. Blue Eyes triggers Maiden. It's GG's at that point. He scoops it up. I know he had an Ash, but I don't think it mattered. We also didn't play into Talents again, which is really cool. Okay, so here he's got Open Engraver, Ogre, Imperm, Talents, Ice, and then we've got Perulia, Drill Beam, Talent, Fua, as well as the Maiden. So it's not a bad hand. I want to see more engine, but what can you do? This might actually also be impactful if we had open Blue Eyes, because then it could easily just out detonate her that way. So he goes tracked. I think here he was planning to just make Caesar pass, set the impermanence, and that's your board. 3 interrupts and the ogre, so that's 4 interrupts. Because he didn't want to give me a draw off the Perulian. We ended up, I think, using Fua on the Requiem, which is the only true time to use it. You should not never use your Perulia guys if they just summon Lurry, because they can literally just leave Lurry on the field and then just play Ryzeal. It's not good. Okay. So he gets rid of the talents, and then he just passes. He literally passes on two interrupts, which is Imperm Ogre, because he knows that our hand is not gas at all. And then we top deck the duplicate, which is not good in this case. So he blows it up with the Ogre, classic interaction, and then he goes normal summon Ice Ryzeal, go do a drive with the Lacrima as well as Ice after ashing it. It's GG's at that point. Do a drive just gets him everything. Game three, final round. He's on a 42 list. We're on a 40 flush. He does Perulia. We let Perulia slide. Blue Eyes guys does not lose to Perulia. It's only 0 to 1 draws for your opponent. It's not that big of a deal. I would say when you get into the avenue of 2+ draws, definitely start to worry. But we're gonna hold the Ash for Fuvalos, 100% every time. Or if it doesn't come up, then you just have additional base to your end board. Okay, so we went Ether Barrel. We do give him a draw. He draws Engraver. He imperms the Ether, stopping the line into Drill Beam. And then we link that off into Spirit. The Spirit does get Veilered. And then we go Talents, see hand, rip the third hand trap, which is pretty crazy at this point. We know that he's on Talents as well as Engraver, plus it's going to be one unknown. At this point, with Wishes, 100% resolving, we can pretty much go to town with our board and still have Ash. And I think we actually discard the Nib, but yeah, we keep the Ash, discard the Nibiru. We get Maiden, and we go full combo from here and make Spirit as well as our seals because we just did a Nibiru check with talents. So we go full combo wombo. We make Spirit as well as set the Majesty load, then gets us Blue Eyes. Go for the Hieratic Seals. Never make these two unless you know it's safe, guys. Because in the case that he did have Nibiru, I might play into Nibiru or not. Let him nib me, then make the other one, like make another Spirit or make a Seals, just to have something to end on something. But yeah, in simplified game, when you know there is no Nibiru, you can kind of increase the deck ceiling by using more of your effects. But if you don't know that there's Nibiru, you don't have to and you shouldn't, because you will get punished for it. I think in draw phase, I start to think this through. So he normals Lurry, which is such a telegraph play by him. I said LOL because, oh, like, your play is very much telegraphed. Like, I literally know exactly what I need to interact with at this time. So I decided to Majesty pop the Lurry on summon and then shotgun the Spirit to counteract his talents. So he's gonna obviously go um Engraver. We ash the Engraver, and then talents gets clopped by the ultimate. And then once he goes and tries to special summon his Engraver to go for his Link 1 Requiem, we tell him no, we're not gonna allow it because if he goes Requiem special, he can bring out another Engraver, and then Requiem equipped to Engraver. Engraver attempts to send your seals. So we could have let him play into it, but at the end of the day, like you may as well just preemptively on summon, spin it back with your seals because it gives him the same thing anyways. Because what you don't want to have happen as well is maybe he doesn't go what do you call it? Engraver. Maybe he goes Lacrima. Lacrima normal summon now on the crackback actually makes more sense. It's a level 4. And if I don't kill him, he top decks any Ryzeal monster. Now we have trouble because he's got a Lacrima normal summon and then maybe like a Ryzeal special summon or something like that. And then he has access to both engines, which is his Fiend Smith stuff and his his Ryzeal stuff. But yeah, we spin it back. We say, yeah, you know what? On crackback, you can have the addition of Attract. That's fine by us because we're gonna absolutely go for a game here in a simplified game. And look at that, guys. He would have top decked an Ice Ryzeal after the Lurie, which is quite interesting to see. But yeah, in Crackback, what we could have done is in the end phase, True Light Special, bring back Maiden. This gets popped, and then brings back the Spirit. And then the Spirit now can also remain as an end piece because it can do a graveyard negate, right? Which absolutely interacts with the Fiend Smith engine. On Crackback, probably would have made like, Tyrant, reset the Majesty. At that point, he's definitely not winning. Maybe even, I don't know, set like, I mean, in theory, you could banish this, make Tyrant. No, no, you have to special with this because if you special with load, you can't use the Tyrant effect in battle phase. Regardless, that ends us on like a spirit. It ends us on actually potentially two spirits. Tyrant and then the Majesty set. He's not winning at that point with an Engraver as well as an Ice Res, so it doesn't work. Awesome. How many do I got more here? Okay, that's the deck list. So we got two more gameplays for you guys, and then we'll call it a wrap. This one is against the mirror. We do go first. We go load the Ash. We talent, rip their Veiler, and then they're left with just Pot, Lordly Load, Blue Eyes Brick City, as well as us. We've got we're opening up a load, Imperm, Fua, Pot, as well as the talents that we just used to rip the effect Veiler. We banish 6. We take the drill. Okay. And then we make looks like we're just ending on 2 interrupts with Imperm as well as the drill. He goes pot, it's simplified game. We know his whole hand. We drill it. He goes load at ether, then the ether just catches an imperm so he doesn't get to his drill beam, and then that's game at that point. Because he can make a blue eyes, but his crackback is just not as good as ours, unfortunately. He attacks. He makes seals. Oh, I think we actually lose this round, guys. Sorry. Crackback is not as good as we thought. Yeah, pretty typical. Not much to say there. We just couldn't. Yeah, he had his ether in rotation. Couldn't really do much there. So we scooped it up. Game 2, we let the Perulio slide. And looks like we're gonna go for wishes, then maiden, roar. We ash the Fua again, guys. Definitely take care of the Fua. Let the Perulio slide every time, always. Make spirit. I always, by the way, guys, I make spirit, then I go true light because ogre is definitely a thing. Yes, it means that I'm not adding to my end board a target protection, but to be honest, I like using the Neo ultimate on turn 3 to make Tyrant Dragon, just because the only other way to make Tyrant Dragon is Roar, and it's quite costly at that point to use that Graveyard Fusion effect. So yeah, that's just my advice is insulate yourself from Ogre, and then like if you don't really need that negate, the Blue Eyes negate, because like let's say they go Imperm target Spirit, tag out the Spirit. It's common sense. The Graveyard interruption is not that great in comparison to your Ultimate Dragon interruption. The Spirit of Ultimate Dragon. Set Majesty, then we go Pot. I think Pot adds talents instead of Solemn. Okay, it's fair. Talent, see hand, simplify the game, rip 1. We rip the ether. And then we go preemptively shotgun the spirit because we know his hand. Talents just guys, it's an even better card than Solemn Judgment. I don't know what to tell you. I prefer talents over Solemn. It's kind of crazy. Game 3, crazy hand. Hold on, guys. Let's take a minute to just appreciate the deck building here. Nib, Fua, Duster, Lightning Storm, full combo Blue Eyes. That's crazy. And he does give us a draw. And we draw into another maiden, so duplicate. Not really that great, but not nothing. So, anyways, he's got looks like he opened like Imperm, Droll, Ash, Drill Beam. I don't know, he went Ether. He did something. Anyways, he's got access to both his Primite engine as well as his Blue Eyes engine. So he's got a great hand as well. So he ends up giving me one draw, and then he just goes his M board being Drill Beam, Imperm, Majesty, and then Ash Droll, which is really good actually. It's very, very good. So we go main, we go Lightning Storm back row, we force out the drill, he drills it, then we go Duster and clear the entirety of the back row and the front row because True Light um, cannot be negated because he didn't land on Spirit because we fooed. He ends up setting this brick, which allows for some grind game effects, but guys, don't play this card. It's garbage. It's just another brick in a bricky deck. And then we go full combo because we did top deck and Ether, and then we also have the Maiden as our full Blue Eyes combo. He does Ash Ether, which he ashes load, which kind of makes sense. He doesn't want the recursion of the drill beam to be part of our end board because he does have the recursion of his drill beam. If he top deck Ether, he can get the drill beam back in rotation. But anyways, we're not gonna let him. He draws not the again, guys. Why I'm not playing it? It's not like the greatest card. He sees me go maiden and just immediately scoops it up because at that point, yeah, I mean, we're gonna go probably like spirit, attack, and then we have load that can make a seals, and now he's got nothing in his hand. So we're gonna have essentially after we start attacking him, we won't be able to go lethal here. But what would happen is, again, like I just special summon Blue Eyes, Maiden comes back out, makes Spirit, attack. I think you can actually go double. Yeah, no, you go double Spirit here because you have another Maiden normal summon. So you go double Spirit, and you preemptively shotgun in one of your spirits into your Omni Negate. At that point, you have your other Spirit of Blue Eyes that can turn into like back row pop with the help of your Lightstorm Dragon, or you can go non-destruction removal with Moonlight, which is also they're both really, really good against Blue Eyes. And then your Omni can just check any top deck. But then you also have Nibiru. Keep that in mind, guys. You have Nibiru, which is really, really insane. And yeah, guys, that's that. And then finally, we got one more gameplay that we'll go over before we wrap it up. And it looks like we got some Mermail shenanigans. Sorry, guys. Let's rewind that one. It looks like I didn't see any hand traps. He normals one monster and we just scoop. Yeah, it's not good. We just scoop it up. We keep our hand integrity to ourselves. Game two looks like we go into load for Ether. He just has Ash Talents to interrupt us. Set drill. We go link one. He ashes the link one. Interesting. Talents, rip talents. And then we go maiden. Set. Again, guys, always make your Spirit of Blue Eyes first before triggering True Light. Save yourself the heartache. We go load. And then looks like we made Seals Pass. Oh, because it's a simplified game again, guys. Talents, so incredible. Simplified the game that allowed us to go Seals as well as Blue Eyes. We ended on the Majesty with Drill Beam. So True Light does have to trigger in the draw phase to make the Drill Beam live right off the get-go. Very strong deck though, guys. The Mermail deck. It literally almost broke into my whole board. We ended up using all our interactions to stop him, just to have him on zero cards. Looks like I use the Graveyard Negate. I tag out into the Omni. He goes Neptibus, spin back to normal, Special Ether, have that in rotation. He goes Atlantean Spirit. He does some stuff. We have to negate down because the specials crap ton of bodies, and then we negate his final link summon. He has nothing left. GG's. This last one, I believe he bricks. I don't know if that deck bricks, but He ended on Imperm, call by Imperm, which is not nothing. Then talents with Dragoons for crackback. We went Ultimate Slayer, Solemn, Imperm, Fua, Ash, Ether. I think even if you had combo, it didn't matter. It really didn't matter just because our hand is way too gassy. And we're top ducking Ether for turn. Normal Ether gets Imperm. We go Link 1, gets Impermed. No problem. Set, attack for 300, pass back. Since he's on top deck mode, guys, he normaled something. Yeah, he clocked it with Solemn. The theory is he would have to pass back, and that's what he did. Then we top deck Sage, which is a crazy, crazy top deck. We go Maiden, gets clapped by, called by, which is huge. We go second Link 2. You need at least two in the deck. And then we dump Blue Eyes. We make the Link 1 into an 1100 beat stick. Then we go Blue Eyes for like 4K, which is not nothing. He's on 36. Next turn is definitely lethal if he can't win because we're gonna have the Ether Barrel coming back as well as Blue Eyes that's gonna punch for game. And we have Impermanence and Ash. At that point, with him being on top deck, we knew that he wasn't going to win. We also were thinking preemptively that we didn't want to play into talents, so we're always going to resolve the infinite impermanence first before the seals. So he normals, we impermit. Yep, he goes into battle. He tries to attack in battle. We use the seals, spin it back. No big deal. And then we special the Ether Barrel in battle phase. So at no point is this talent live, and it doesn't even matter because he's just going to try to go draw two, gets ashed anyways. Um, so yeah, like our crackback is pretty nice. Yeah, Ether Barrel comes back. Um, gets us access to Drill Beam, gets us into Blue Eyes. Maybe we top deck some like more Blue Eyes engine. It's not bad. Well, we're definitely punching for game. The 36 is definitely going to be gone because we'll be able to go Blue Eyes and then Ether Barrel, which is actually exactly it's 46 actually. So yeah. No, that's game. I hope you guys liked the video. Again, this is the list that I'm messing with right now. Looks like we timed out dual book. Let's show you guys a quick screenshot one last time. Kind of a longer format video, but that's cool. We showed some gameplay as well as deck lists and tech options, kind of an extended format video. And yeah, guys, that's the list here. Perfect 40. Hope you guys enjoyed. If you guys want a screenshot of this, feel free to screenshot this now, or best way to kind of get a hold of me is either like through Facebook or Instagram at YugiSkull. And yeah, that's me signing out. We'll talk to you guys next time. Cheers.